It is an exciting time when a new member joins your team. But how do we set this person up for success from day one, or even before day one? Well, today's guest is going to walk us through how to onboard a new colleague from start to finish. Today's guest is Dr. Tiffany Slater. Tiffany is the founder and CEO of HR TailorMade, the human resources solution for small businesses and nonprofits. HR TailorMade partners with nonprofits and small businesses to provide seamless fractional HR support for their team. Dr. Tiffany has been an HR professional for over 25 years, with experience in all aspects of human resources. Now, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I share new episodes and other tips for managers every week. Now, here's the conversation. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Tiffany. I love that. We're going to talk about onboarding, which is to me, actually one of the most exciting parts of being a manager is getting to welcome a new team member in and set them up for success. And I feel like onboarding is something that sometimes gets overlooked, and we kind of focus maybe a little bit too much on the logistics sometimes, or maybe not enough on the logistics sometimes, but it's such an important part and it's such an exciting moment. And so I'm really glad to have you here today to talk us through how to do this part of our job really effectively. So thanks.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about it.
Why don't you start us off by just explaining, in your mind, what is onboarding and why is it such an important part of the employee experience?
Well, onboarding is essentially everything that happens after the candidate says yes to the job up until they are fully capable of doing the job effectively. That is my definition of onboarding. So all of the training, all of the processes, all of the support, all of the meetings that are held between that individual and other people that they need to meet in order to do the job successfully, all of the shadowing, anything that you have to do to train the person and prepare them to be a successful contributor on your team. In my mind, that is onboarding.
I love this definition in particular because I have definitely seen and worked with teams where onboarding starts when the person walks in the door and not, from the time they've accepted. There's a whole gap of things that don't happen beforehand. And also onboarding ends at day 30 when they're okay, you've done our checklist. You're good, right? And it's so helpful to frame it as actually much more expansive. And that just really changes then how you approach it. Could you maybe share a couple of different ways that you think about, or maybe different categories of things that you think about as being part of that onboarding journey?
So it's all of the things that happen between them saying yes and their first day. So is that them completing their benefits paperwork? Is that them filling out a parking form? You sending them a swag box or a swag bag, a video that you send them from the whole team saying, we can't wait for you to start. We're excited to meet you. So that's a part of it. The other part is the back office things that happen in preparation for them. So we want to make sure that they have their technology so that they can start on the first day being a contributor. And the keys, making sure that their workspace is set up. And if you're virtual, checking with them to see if they need anything. Do they have their own laptop? Will they be using it? Do you need to ensure that they have some software set up on their laptop, their device? You want to make sure they get the handbook before the first day. There's so many things that we want to give them before the first day so that they don't come in on the first day with nothing. And you're sitting there trying to figure out their passwords and you spend a whole day doing those things. It's a waste of time when it can be done before they start. So that's part of it. Then the first day, I would say that's orientation. Maybe orientation is a week long. Orientation is introducing them to the organization, introducing them to the team, introducing them to the culture and the norms and all of those things that will support their success. And then after that is the training. Let's show you how to do the work that you were hired to do. Or let's give you the space to go online and do the trainings that you need to do in order to contribute to the organization in an effective way. So those are all of the pieces that I think contribute to a very successful onboarding. And one of the other pieces that I almost forgot to mention is that we have to engage with new team members, I would say at least on a weekly basis during their first month, just to have a 15-minute conversation with them. Hey, how's it going? What'd you learn new this week? What'd you find challenging this week? How can we support you better? Are you getting everything that you need? I mean, you literally could ask all those questions that I just said to ensure that your new team members know that you're there to support them, and so that you can also get feedback from them so that you can help them to be successful. And then after the first month, I would say at least on a bi-weekly basis, you just have a quick, hey, how's it going? Need anything from me? Let them know that you are available and willing to help them.
All right, I want to dive into each of these different segments of the onboarding process, starting with that beforehand when they come in. So very clear, there are some logistics things, fill out paperwork, make sure that you're getting them their devices, all that kind of stuff. But then you also mentioned send them a video, put together a swag box. Could you say a little bit more? Maybe you have some stories or examples from clients you've worked with of how they've done that kind of exciting, create some energy, do a little culture, relational building beforehand, what that looks like.
These are things that we actually recommend, and we've had our clients do a couple examples actually. I have a client where it was actually a daycare. And I said, well, how cool would it be if you went around to each room with your cell phone and had each teacher to say, hey, Tiffany, we're so excited to meet you. I'm teacher so-and-so in classroom, blah, blah, blah. And I can't wait to support you or meet you. And they sent that video to their new team members, and those individuals came to work really excited. Already, one, having an idea of their space because they saw a video of it. Also, having been able to put some faces with names because those individuals were in the video. Now, they may not remember all of those things, but how cool is it to receive a video from everybody that you're going to be working with saying how excited they are to work with you and support you? So that's one example. Another thing, one of the things that I do for my team members, I make a quick video on my phone just talking about how excited I am for them to start with us, what they're going to do on their first day, and how essential their role is to the success of our organization and team. So that is received very well. I get a lot of great feedback about that. Our services are virtual services, but I have a client that has given me an office. So I go there because I have my own office there when I don't want to work in my home office, right? But when I came, there was a plant on my desk, and there were t-shirts, swag on my desk, and a couple books that the whole team is reading, as if I am an employee, an actual team member. Well, for them, as a consultant, I am a team member, and they treat me just like everybody else, which is really cool. So those are all great examples of how you can create some excitement around a person's first day and show them, one, they're not a second thought, that you're actually preparing for them.
Those are amazing. I mean, the videos just sound so wonderful, and it's so easy to do nowadays with cell phones. And I think what you're saying too about creating excitement, but also putting some faces to names, it can be very intimidating when you're coming into a new team and trying to remember who everybody is. And what a lovely way to create some energy and some kind of kick off those relationships. And then the books, this is something that I think is, another such a simple thing. But if your team has done a book club, right, or you have certain books that you really love that are part of your management philosophy, to send those to your team member to give them the opportunity to orient to that way of thinking or using that language and those models. What a great gift to kind of set them up for success in a way that feels very personal and to your team. So I love these examples. This is awesome. Before they've come in, we've got made sure they get through all the logistics. We've made sure checked in on their computer, their workspace setup. We've sent them something special to help them feel welcome and excited and shown that we're really enthusiastic. Okay, now they show up for day one. And it sounds like there's other things that we had to do to prepare for them to show up on day one. Are we handing them a checklist of things? Do we need to be pre-scheduling meetings for them? What are some of those things that we should be doing to make sure that their first day is really special?
Yes, we should have a checklist of all the things that we need to ensure that we do before they start. So we create an onboarding checklist. So there's a before they start, and then there's an after they, have started kind of list of things. So what we want to prepare is we want to get all their passwords. Whatever they're going to need access to, get them a password before the first day. How many times have we been onboarded and we sat there for hours trying to figure out a password? Crazy, right? So if there's software that needs to be installed on their system, let's have that done before their first day. And if the person is remote, yes, schedule time with them so that you can make sure that this is done. Or maybe you work with an outside IT company that is going to send them a laptop or their device. Make sure that they do all of the installation of software, security, protocols, all that stuff on the technology before they send it to whatever degree they can. If there's a meeting that needs to be scheduled with technology so that that person can walk them through how to access all of the things that they need, we can do that before. And we should be paying them before their first day if they're doing any of these things, right? You can also schedule that technology meeting for their first day. I like for people to be able to come to work on the first day ready to go. Those are a few things. Obviously, if they need keys, you need to get those done and ordered before they start. Business cards, they don't cost that much. Just order them ahead of time and have them ready. It's a minor expense. Their swag, we want to order all of that stuff and have it if you're going to have it there for when they first come, or you can send it to their home, whichever one works best. Why not schedule breakfast or lunch for the whole team the day of so that everybody can break bread together? Or if maybe they're going to have a work buddy, schedule lunch or breakfast with the work buddy so that they don't have to worry about that themselves. Their first day, lunch is already thought about or considered. Benefits, tax forms, all of those HR things that people typically wait to do on their first day. Stop it. Send it to people ahead of time. Let them do it at home, because a lot of times when making insurance decisions, if they're married or have children, they're not going to bring Social Security numbers to work. They're not going to sit there on the first day thinking about which insurance plan is most effective for their family. Give it to them ahead of time so they can talk it over with their spouse or their doctors or whoever else they need to speak to make that decision. Don't make them do that while they're there on the first day. That to me is a little stressful. And I'm an HR person and I understand the benefits, right? So give them the opportunity to do that ahead of time.
All right. So what about things like, and I think you were talking about this as orientation materials, right? To get to know the business, get to know the team, the job. What kinds of ways, or do you have any recommendations for formats for how we share that kind of information with new people?
Yeah. So, you do it one-to-one. And if you have to do a video, the only thing that I would say that you might have to do a video of, I believe that the founder or leader of the organization is the one who should tell the business story, right? So that everybody hears the same exact message. So obviously the leader or founder can't be available every time you have onboarding. So maybe you just have them record a video message that talks about the history of the organization, why the organization exists, why they started or founded the organization, where they see the organization going in the next 5 or 10 years, and why team support is so important, and what are some of their favorite things or memories about the organization. Those things make leaders seem human, right? Just making sure that that person is the one who is delivering that message. It also shows, in my opinion, how much they value orientation and onboarding. And that's important as well. So if we really want a team that is engaged and believe in what we do, then we need to have a leader that is engaged and believes in the power of the people that are on their team.
What a wonderful thing also to like start your day with a video from the founder or the CEO to kind of get oriented and get excited. I think that's such a great way to make sure that people feel exactly what you're saying, kind of inspired and engaged, and getting to hear that company story or the organization's story directly from a senior leader. What about like historical documents? So I'm thinking about a client I worked with where they were having a new team member come on, and they put together a spreadsheet with like links to all of these documents that they wanted the new team member to read, because it was like all the past strategy documents and all of the decisions, kind of like big projects they'd worked on in the past year. And they were like, we want our new team member to like get caught up. So we're going to give them this list of documents to read. What do you think about that?
I think that's insane. I think it's insane. I think it's unreasonable. And I don't think it's fair. Here's a person who is coming to your organization to contribute immediately. There is nothing more rewarding than coming aboard, having a project that I can work on right now. Give them something for them to do that will allow them to be productive and contribute immediately in the organization, to the organization, and link the documents that will help them to be successful with that particular project. Not everything since the organization started. That's insane. So, one, I think it's important that we allow people to contribute immediately, because it does a couple things. It helps them to feel like, oh, I actually got something done today, as opposed to sitting and reading documents all day and falling asleep and not remembering anything. Two, it helps you to see how they work and allows you to provide them with support on the front end, allows them to see how you lead and manage. And that is invaluable. To get that within the first week, one of the things that I do on my team is, even if it's a project that has been done a million times, I give my team members a project the first week, just for the purpose of, I want you to see how we work. I want to see how you work. I want to see how you think. I want to see what questions you come up with. I want to see how I can best support you, because the next project that comes your way may be a real one, may be a bigger one, and I want us to be ready. Give people work that matters, not things that just help them to eat up the time in the day.
Oh my gosh, this is so helpful. All right, well, staying on this track of kind of trying to understand and learn how we all work, do you recommend that teams be explicit in those conversations to say, this is how we use Slack, and here's all the different channels, and let me walk you through, and this is the kinds of meetings we have? And is there a reason that we want to kind of walk people through in a really explicit way? Or do we want to kind of let it be more organic and let people kind of like navigate and come with questions? Or does it really matter? We can kind of do whatever we want.
I do not think that it should be organic. I don't think that people should trip over things and that's how they learn about it. I think that when it comes to how we use all the things, that can be a video. And the power of that being in a video is that person will always be able to go back to it, because they're just not going to remember all this stuff. So I can show you Slack, I can show you Smart Suite, I can show you Zoom, I can show you QuickBooks, I can show you Gusto. I could show you 50 different things that we use. You're never going to remember all of them. So if you have a video or if you have a guiding document, or if you have a project management system that you're using, where you can have a page that says, these are all of the tools for organization XYZ, and they can go in there and see the use case for each one. That's more helpful than waiting for people to figure out that there's a Slack channel that they should have logged in on a month ago.
Yes, I love this. And I really, I kind of learned some of these tactics along the way too. And I made a bunch of videos with one of my team members, like, oh my gosh, at this point, it was probably over a year ago. And then when I hired a new team member, I was like, just watch all these videos. And I was like, wow, this is also just saving me so much time because I do not need to go sit through this again and walk through. And some things had changed. And so we talked about what was different, but it was so helpful to be able to point my new team member to like, here's a library of videos for how we make our newsletter, how we use our Slack channel, how we do our scheduling for meetings and all this stuff. It's so helpful to be able to just point it over and not have to take up your own time. And then create the space for like, let's discuss what questions do you have, that kind of thing. How about team culture and values, right? Which are maybe not as explicit as, let me walk you through how we do this part of our project management, but are a little more of like, kind of, here's how we treat each other. Here's what's important to us. Here's how we kind of expect each other to show up. Is that something that we should be making a video for, or have a handbook for, or having a conversation around?
Yes, to all of it. I think it's important that these type of conversations are had before we offer the position. I think that's the type of conversation that we have during our interview process. Maybe if we have a screening call with that person, we ask questions to help us understand if they will be a good fit for our culture. We cannot catch everything, and we will never catch everything in a pre-screening interview, or interviews at all, actually. But we'll be able to weed some people out by having those initial conversations. Then when the position has been accepted, I think that the manager should call the person and just say, hey, let's do lunch, or let's do coffee. Let's talk about, how we work at work. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I want to see if you have any questions or any concerns. Then during the first day, we're going to I know that norms aren't always written down, but why can't they be written down? We know what they are, right? There are some things that we can't really articulate. It's just a feeling, right? But the things that we can articulate, we should. We could make a list of them. People don't normally schedule meetings after 12 on Friday, or we don't schedule meetings at all on Friday. It's just a catch-up day. It's just one of those things that we know. No cars in the parking lot after 7 o'clock on a Monday, whatever. But those are things that are not a rule. You're not going to get fired for doing it, but it's helpful for people to know that that is how we operate. We play music in the office all day long. If you don't want to hear our music, bring your earbuds. Or if it's distracting, we use the conference room, and that's for the quiet people. No talking in the quiet. Those are things that you can write down. And if you're really creative, make a video. Go around asking team members, what's your favorite thing about working here? Some people are going to say, well, I love the fact that we get Fridays off, or we get to work from home on Fridays. Other people are going to say, I love that it smells like chocolate chip cookies every time I come in. And that's actually a part of the culture, right? So you're going to capture all those things that are cool about the organization that a new hire wouldn't necessarily know to ask about.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. And actually, I'm in the process of hiring somebody right now, and we were chatting in the interview process. And I said, it's really important for you to know that I'm a super hands-off manager. And I really want to hire people who are proactive, who are like going to come to me when they have questions, and who I do not need to follow up with every other day to say, where are we on this thing? How are you doing? Do you need help? I'm like, when I hire you, I trust you know what you're doing, and I trust you to ask questions when you feel stuck, and that you're not going to try and like guess what I'm thinking, but you're actually just going to come and ask. And the person I was speaking to was like, it is so helpful to hear that, to know that now, like, because that's actually how I like to work. Like, I really don't like bosses who are like breathing down my neck. And I was like, great, we might be a perfect cultural fit then if we both have work styles that will fit. And it's been really helpful to like have some of those conversations earlier instead of waiting until they're hired. So this is so great. Also, I want to go to an office that smells like chocolate chip cookies all the time. How do I get that to happen?
We might be hungry all the time if we do that, but
All right. Well, we are actually starting to run out of time. I can't believe this. So, Tiffany, can you tell us about a great manager that you worked for and what made this person such a fabulous boss?
I'll talk about my very first boss, right? And we're still very close to this day. When I was in college, I had an internship, and that turned into my first full-time job. But what made her a great boss is she trusted me. Here I am, college student. I don't know if I knew half of what I thought I knew, but she trusted me, and she knew that I would ask questions when I got stuck, and I wasn't afraid to research and look for things and find things. So she was patient with my learning, and she was available when I needed her to be. She set me free to go figure things out and do the work, but she was also always available to answer questions and guide me. And she was also there to support me. So she did not let me fail. And she also didn't allow people to push me around because I was, right out of college. So she protected me as well.
Sounds like a fabulous boss. Do you want to give your second boss a shout out too?
Yeah. So my second boss was just an amazing human being, just like the first. But I was at a point in my life where I had just gotten married. I was having babies. So we worked together for almost 10 years. And after I had my second baby, I had just implemented a new payroll system or performance management system. I don't remember which one. But either way, I was the only one that could do the training on it. She took a vacation day, her and allowed another one of my employees to take a vacation day. They came to my house and babysat my children that day because I was the only one that could do that training. So first of all, you know how close we had to be in order for me to trust them with my babies.
Yes.
And in my house alone all day. And my husband was okay with it as well. So that's how close we were. That's how much of an amazing person and boss she was. She was supportive every step of my journey. When I was getting my PhD, first of all, I got my PhD because I was bored at work, because I had done everything that I felt like I could do to contribute. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to twiddle my thumbs all day, but I can't do that because I have to keep my mind busy. So I got my PhD. I was working on it. And I remember one day I was like, I have got to finish this paper. She was like, close your door and go finish the paper. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so she was just supportive in all of my personal adventures, if you will, and just a great person.
Also, how lucky to have two incredible bosses. What a gift. And I hope all people who are listening get to have such amazing bosses like that. All right. And where can people learn more about you and keep up with your work?
Please learn more about us on our website, hrtailormade.com.
Thank you again so much. I am so excited about some of these onboarding strategies. I feel like it's so timely because, as I said, I'm about to hire someone. So I got lots of good tips I'm going to go run with now.
Awesome. Congratulations.